Alrighty, so today I'm going to be talking about the Resident Evil remake. And a quick note before I get into the video, this is actually the first time I've legitimately beat Resident Evil 1. What I mean by that is, technically I had beaten it in middle school, but what had happened is, I think I got stuck, and a friend of mine in middle school, I think she had already beaten it numerous times, and so she let me borrow her memory card for the GameCube, and basically just gave me a save point that I could copy from like the middle end to the game, and so I had just started from there, beat the game. So I never truly went through it by myself, went through and beat it. I just loaded it back up on PC, ran through it myself, beat it, and there's definitely a lot I didn't realize was in the game and a lot I remember. But before I just got into the video, I just wanted to mention that it's honestly crazy how much of a Resident Evil fan I am and how I'm actually never beaten the first game. So the Resident Evil remake, which released in 2002, which is crazy because that's, I mean, 22 years ago. It feels like a lifetime ago. And is a remake of the original Resident Evil from 1996, which is even more crazier because I was born in 1995. But originally, it only released for the Nintendo GameCube, the remake, I mean. And then in 2015, it released for the Xbox 360, Xbox One, PlayStation 3, and PlayStation 4. And for me, what I had done is I bought, because I believe Resident Evil 0 was the same, and I had bought Resident Evil 0 and 1, I think it was in a collection pack for Xbox 360, and then I happened to get a PS4 not too long after that, and then just bought it again for the PS4. And obviously, two things. I'll tell you, it's one of the most graphically impressive games on the Nintendo GameCube, in my opinion, at least. I am trying to think of another game on the GameCube that looked this nice, so detailed, but I can't think of one right now. Obviously, like Metroid Prime looked nice, but it was in a different way, almost. I think it was more colorful. And even till today, you know, with the HD remaster on PC, the newer consoles, to me, it graphically still holds up. So, you know, those are pros. I'm kind of going to go into what could be said as a con. That depends on the person. The quote-unquote tank controls, as they're called, basically just how the game works, the controls. They are dated and can be very frustrating for a new player wanting to experience a classic survival horror game. Myself, personally, I played it many times growing up, and so for me, there's nothing new about it. It's ingrained in my head, but I can see for someone new, and I feel like I knew someone, I can't remember anymore. For someone new, I think it can be ungodly frustrating because even replaying this one, I found myself at times, you know, kind of saying like, it's kind of pissing me off. You go forward, the camera changes, you're like, wait, what? And then you don't realize you're supposed to hold the stick, and so then it kind of, your character's wonky and the camera will keep changing. That can be very frustrating. The puzzles in the game, which are, to me, I mean, the game is basically kill zombies, solve puzzles. Survive and solve puzzles. The puzzles can be fairly hard to figure out, but with time you start to understand it. And obviously this is subjective because you can have some, you know, you're going to have always that one guy who's like, oh, well, actually, they're actually not hard puzzles. It's like, okay. I mean, good for you, I guess. I'm sure you are phenomenal in real life and are a joy to be around. But The mansion is basically a testing ground, but at the same time, the puzzles make it seem like the ultimate memer designed it. You start wondering, who the fuck had the time and thought process to build this elaborate, nonsensical house? And boy, when I say that, because these are the notes I wrote down. When I say that, you go, yes, this is a testing facility. Okay. But it also looks like a very lived-in house. And so you start going, what the fuck is even the concept here with these puzzles? And some of the puzzles, you're like, dude, I could literally just break that door down and continue. There is a lot of backtracking, which takes most of your time. This can also be a chore, but they change it up by spawning hunters or crimson heads if you didn't burn the zombies' bodies when you kill them initially. So there are many backtracking areas because it's basically the mansion and the little area outside the mansion. You are going back and forth often. And another element of the survival aspect is the zombies you kill, if you didn't kill them with a headshot, you have to burn their bodies or they will come back as stronger versions of themselves. And at a certain point they release hunters, which are like giant bipedal lizards that can kill you pretty quick. And so there's that. And some doors, the door handles fall off, and so you can't go through them. The survival aspect is very clearly in place. You're not meant to kill every enemy. Inventory management is a must, and you have to be thinking ahead or you will be backtracking a lot more than you have to. And that is a big key thing. For a first-time player, that's really going to affect them. You have to kind of really think about where you're going, and if you went to an area and it said, hey, this door is locked with this emblem, and then you go, oh, okay, I remember where that door was, or I need to get the key, this and that, and really plan out, because there are some instances where, like, I don't want to spoil it, even though it's a technically 22 plus year old game, but there's certain objectives that happen throughout the game a few times where if you fail because you don't understand the map, it can suck a lot. In the game, you play as Chris Redfield or Jill Valentine, and both stories run very similar with a few differences. Character stories can also be changed based on if you save characters in a timely manner or not. Now, and I guess this will be spoilers, an annoying thing with that, as Chris, because I played as Chris, I haven't beaten it as Jill, I saved Richard from Jan, who bites him. And if you fail the time limit, he dies. But I got it in time, saved him. And then, maybe 20 minutes later, I'm walking into an aquatic area, and he just fucking dies again. But this time for good, and there's no way to save him. So you save him the first time, 20 minutes later, he fucking dies. And you're just like, okay. Alright. It's slightly aggravating as you go through the timed effort of saving him just for him to die. Rebecca is the same thing. There is a window where potentially, and I say windows in like a window of time, where if you mess up, she will die. And so the objective is to try to keep Richard alive as long as possible, even though he fucking dies. Rebecca, if you keep her alive, she will actually live to the end, thank God. Same with Jill. She can technically die if you just leave her in the jail cell. So just go get her. I mean, you have a decent amount of time to go get her. There are different weapons to unlock, such as the Magnum, shotgun, grenade launcher. Playing it on easy, which I did just to get through this video, has more ammo available. The harder the difficulty, the less the resources. The Magnum is very powerful and can kill enemies, I would say, almost in one shot or two shots. The Tyrant is a little different, obviously. The shotgun was one weapon I used often, as it has really great damage and really great spread. and I can aim it pretty good to get headshots off, and there was plenty of ammo, so I didn't really have a problem. Lastly, the story is a great mystery and tense zombie game. You're a part of a police force searching for another team from your department. You find the helicopter they were in, only the pilot is there, and he is deceased. You are then ambushed by undead dogs, Cerberus, and forced to take refuge in a mansion in the woods. It's from here that you start slowly figuring out the little pieces and clues, realizing why you're there and how to escape. It's an interesting, classic game, and I would give the game a 9 out of 10. Just bear with the gameplay. And so I say 9 out of 10 because you could, I guess, say the gameplay truly is dated, and that can make it hard for people now. You know, would you say, take into account the score as like, well, how timeless is the game, you know? And that's, I feel like, not a full fact, like, oh, the gameplay is fine for new people. It's not. But the story, the atmosphere, everything is just so solid. I mean, it does feel kind of like an older movie, like an older horror movie, but it works very, very well. So yeah, I gave it a 9 out of 10. I was honestly contemplating between an 8 and a 9. Maybe 8.5 is more correct. But that is just my kind of run through of Resident Evil 1. It's been a minute since I've made one of these nostalgic rewind videos, but that's going to be about it. I went through Shadow of Mordor, and I need to make a video about that, and Metro 2033. I'm thinking about going through Resident Evil 0 again, because that's one of my favorite Resident Evil games. Real quick, I'll tell you. My favorite Resident Evil games are Resident Evil 0 and 3. Those are like my top 2. I guess I could go through a tier list, but boy, is that something that will piss people off. Because there's things where it's like, you know, like Resident Evil 6. I think it's fun. I don't think it's good. But yeah, that's for another video. For this nostalgic rewind for Resident Evil 1, I appreciate you watching. As always, if you agree with me, if you disagree, let me know in the comments. I'm very curious to hear what people have to say. And yeah, until next time, I guess that'll be it. Thank you for watching. I'm out.